Hi, my name is Tara Lombardo, and I would first like to thank you for considering my application for the secondary English high school teacher at Kentwood East High School. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce myself and to give you a little bit more information about myself as an educator that is not on my resume. So first, I'd like to talk about my teaching philosophy. Teaching has never been just a career for me. It has been a passion since I started, and I can tell you the exact moment that I fell in love with it. However, it's so much more than a career. It's always been about building relationships with my kids, my students. Relationships are so important in education, and they mean more than most people realize. My philosophy centers on the belief that every student can grow, every student can learn. It's my job to figure out the best way for that student to succeed. And that happens by building those relationships, establishing a trust between the teacher and the student, and making sure that that student feels seen. And that has always been my philosophy. I'd like to quote the one TED Talk, I can't think of her name, Rita Pearson, who said, kids don't learn from people they don't like. And that's true. So on day one of every school year, I try to make some type of connection. I try to make some type of relationship with those students and just try to show them that I'm there for them and that I'm an advocate and that I want to know about them. And it's worked so far for me. Another thing that I really believe in is that learning should be engaging. We've all sat in a classroom that we didn't want to be in because the teacher just droned on and on and on about something we didn't care about. And one way that I try and make it engaging in my classroom is big time student choice. Student choice is so powerful. It gives them a voice. It gives them a say in what they're doing. And as the teacher, you can kind of guide where they go, but still give them that choice. And I find that it motivates them, it engages them, and they want to do better because they had a choice in what they got to do. Not every student is a test taker. Not every student is a project maker, and that's okay. I also use a lot of, collaboration. I use a lot of discussion. I use a lot of technology, project-based learning, really real, authentic writing experiences. Like, it's not just like, write me about whatever you heard about this story. No, it's more of, something that's meaningful and personal so that they don't even realize that they're writing, but they're writing. One of the hardest things that I found as an English teacher is just getting the kids to start writing because they feel like they don't know what they can write or they don't know how to start. So just by giving them things that are personal sometimes can get something on the page and they can get started. And it just gives them that extra confidence that they can be a writer. Why am I interested in East Kentwood? That's a valid question. I am a Pennsylvania teacher. I have taught in Pennsylvania for 13 years. However, I just didn't pull out a map and point to a city. My sister and her family live in Grand Rapids, and I've been looking to relocate for a few years now. And it was just by chance that I saw your opening and I applied. However, after receiving the invitation to make this video, I did go onto your website and I was reviewing some of your philosophies and your values and your missions, and a couple things that really spoke to me was just your reputation for academic excellence, the diversity that your school has, your sense of community within your school district. It's just something that I feel is extremely valuable. Diversity is so valuable in education, especially in literature. There are so many instances and so many opportunities in literature to learn about a new culture. And when you have so much diversity in your school, those cultures come to life. And I absolutely love that. I really strive to make an inclusive classroom where everyone feels safe, everyone feels seen, and everyone feels heard. That's just always been my philosophy, we need to establish a love of learning. And I feel like, just from what I've seen, and I've talked to my sister about the school district as well, just from what I've seen and heard, I've heard very good things. So that was one of the reasons that I applied for the position. Why did I choose to become an educator? I come from a long line of educators. My mother was an English teacher. My aunt is a special ed teacher. I have a few other relatives that are in the educational field. But I'd have to contribute my love of learning to my grandfather. My grandfather was in World War II, and he was, at that time, one of the only males in his area that graduated from high school. And then he went to the military, and he went to World War II. And when he came back from the war, he would help men that came back from the war fill out job applications because they couldn't read and write. And I remember when I was little, and my pap would be sitting at the table and he would tell me about these things. And I didn't understand it. I was like, what do you mean they couldn't read or write? And he's like, Tara, education is so important. Education is so important. And I have never stopped learning. And I never plan on it. And I've always felt the need to share that love of learning with others. So, that is one of the biggest reasons I've become an educator. The other thing is, I'm a nerd. I love to learn. I love books. I love English. I think it is the coolest thing in the world. I love analysis. It's amazing. And I want to share that with my kids, because I think if they give it a chance, they would love it too. And I find that I have a different approach, and kids seem to clinch onto that approach. They enjoy it. I will say that one thing I think does set me apart is I'm very animated. I'm very enthusiastic. I don't mind making a fool out of myself. And sometimes I think that's just what those kids need, is to see that, yeah, we are a teacher, but we're also just a human, and we're all on the same level here, kids. I want a sense of community in my classroom. I want a sense of acceptance, and I want a sense of responsibility, that this is our classroom, and nobody's going to come into our classroom and push us around. And I found that if we establish that at the beginning of the year, it usually continues. So again, thank you for your time and consideration. I truly look forward to hearing from you, and have a great day. Thank you.